Hey there, Ryan Reynolds here. It's a new year, and you know what that means. No, not the diet. Resolutions. A way for us all to try and do a little bit better than we did last year. And my resolution, unlike big wireless, is to not be a raging and raise the price of wireless on you every chance I get. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited. See mintmobile.com for details.
Today on CityCast Pittsburgh, we have been blessed at the start of the new year with a few waves of a nice, bright snowfall. And while it can be tempting to bundle up and hunker down when it's this chilly outside, there are lots of great outdoor winter activities in our region. Today, the team is sharing our tips and tricks for having the perfect snow day in Pittsburgh. It's Monday, January 6th. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. I'm with CityCast's Mallory Falk and Sophia Lowe. How's it going?
Good. Loving the snow.
Me too. It's so beautiful out, as long as you're not trying to drive.
I mean, when there's like big snow outside, I mean, I feel like what we've had lately is not super, super big, but like it blankets things. Do y'all try to take advantage and get outside, or are you like indoor cats?
You gotta do both. I'm saying that as an indoor cat. Like, if there's one time to go outside, it's to romp in the snow.
I agree, because also like getting all cozy and bundled up feels a lot more rewarding if you have been out in the cold. It's just not the same if you wake up in a warm bed and then just roll to a warm couch or something.
I don't know. I'm like the outdoor person, and I think I prefer to be inside and just staring out the window. This is going to be fun. So we have a bunch of fun outdoor activities to share. But before we do that, we do have a few pro tips that can maybe come in handy when there is a big snowfall in our region. So just some stuff to know. First of all, heavy snow and freezing temperatures can make it like kind of unsafe on the road. So that's where the snow plows come in. We actually heard from the director of the Allegheny County Department of Public Works, who said that before the snowfall on Friday, that the county had more than 10,000 tons of salt in stock to help clear the roads.
I'm curious if the county has considered pickle brine instead, because apparently that's like a Yinzer hack to de-ice roads. I just learned this the other day from our newsletter editor, Francesca DeBecco.
I mean, yes, technically that is a thing you can do, but I actually had to write a story about that years ago. And it's fine on an individual level. If you as the homeowner, a renter, wants to use your pickle juice for this. But salt brine is not super effective on a municipal level because it's like expensive. You cannot stockpile it. And it's also like not great for plants and our water treatment facilities.
You're not stockpiling pickle brine, Megan? Gotta get on it. County's gotta get on it.
I mean, if you want to try to make that argument that they should be stockpiling pickle brine and the water treatment facilities, you be my guest.
On it.
Anyway, the county has got that salt stockpiled because they only have to service some of the roads in our region. So like the whole greater Pittsburgh area is like 1,200 miles of roadway, but the county is only responsible for like a little over 300 of those miles. There's actually a super cool map that they have put together. I've got to imagine that they did it because they wanted people to stop calling them and are like frustrated that you have not serviced my road yet, where you can see who actually is responsible for maintaining the streets that you travel the most. So we will make sure and link that in our show notes.
Yeah, and I would definitely recommend checking out that map, because this is another great pro tip. If it's the city who services your area, so if they're the ones responsible for maintaining your streets, there is actually a site where you can track Pittsburgh snowplows. We will also include a link for that. I was playing around with the tracker after the snow fell on Friday. It is really cool. They have these little truck icons that look very old school, like I was transported back to a 90s era computer game, and it's fun to just watch them like making their way down those city streets.
I also feel like I really want us like here in the city to
name them.
Exactly. They do that in other countries. I think Scotland is the one that I've followed the most, where they give them all cute punny names. I really want Pittsburgh to get on. Yes, they're so good.
Yeah, I just want to see other people's names so I can vote on them. But a few more quick pro tips for snow. If there is a really big snowfall, consider moving your car off a main road or away from like an alley, because otherwise you could get a parking citation and that would really suck.
That's only when the snow's like super deep, but it's hard to know like where the like line of demarcation is. Like, when is it deep enough that I'm now going to get a ticket?
Right, because the road basically needs to be clear for the snowplow to come through.
Exactly.
So if your car is blocking them, you're going to have a citation and a lot of angry neighbors.
That is so true. And then you are supposed to shovel your walkway within 24 hours of a snow or ice event. This helps keep you safe. And the city suggests that you pile up all that snow on your lawn if you have one.
Amazing.
Turn it into a snowman.
I would slide down those tiny hills when I was like a small child. So that like felt really big to me.
I love it. And then just to add one more, if you are a senior or if you have a disability and you can't shovel your walkway yourself, you can also register to have like a snow angel come to your house. So that's a city program. It's all volunteer. Someone who maybe lives within walking distance of your home can come and shovel for you. And on the flip side, if you are able-bodied and you want to help your neighbors, you're maybe capable of shoveling, you can sign up with the city to become a snow angel. We'll link the form for all of that in our show notes.
And we've actually got a few more pro tips on our website, so we will link that too. Lots of links for you in our show notes today to be fully prepared for the winter weather.
So now that you are prepared, we want to share some of our favorite activities. A disclaimer, many of these do hinge on us having clear roads and being able to get to places because, so many of our beautiful outdoor spaces are a little outside the city. But we do have some recommendations closer to home. Sophia, you want to kick us off?
Yes, I will start off very classic here, sledding. I am hoping that this is a good snowy year because like the first thing I did when I moved here was like best hills to go sledding. But there's never been like a deep enough snowfall where I've been like itching to go outside.
I know. I have really been hoping for sledding weather, too. When I was a little kid, I really liked to go sledding on that big hill by the Blue Slide Park in Squirrel Hill. And I want to revisit that as an adult. But since I've moved back, there have not been the kind of big winter storms that I remember from my Pittsburgh childhood.
Here is hoping that this is our year. The Blue Slide Park one is also highly recommended online. It is also one of like the quote unquote safer hills. So good for younger kids.
Because you're not sliding into traffic. Some of these hills just lead like directly into a busy street.
Or like the woods. So like be careful. Another big recommendation is Flagstaff Hill in Oakland.
Yeah, of course.
That's obviously, one people are going to. Bonus points from me, there is a swing set around the bottom of that hill that I really love in the winter because the trees don't have leaves on them, so you get a better view of downtown. And then other popular hills are Observatory Hill, Sunny Slopes in South Park, and, Snow Day with Bison. That's a pretty good adventure. And then if you're venturing out a little further, Ohiopyle also has a designated hill if you want to go sledding, while maybe the rest of your crew does more hardcore outdoor activities like cross-country skiing, hiking. I'm sticking to sledding. And the state website says that this is kind of in like the Sugarloaf snowmobile and mountain bike area. Not super meaningful to me, but maybe Ohiopyle fans know that area more.
I would also add in Emerald View Park and Mount Washington, a little more treacherous, maybe for folks who actually feel very confident at steering their sled, just because some of the hills over there are very intense. But I've seen people post from there, and it looks very fun.
Emerald View Park, I am kind of scared of in the summer that I'm just going to trip and fall down.
I mean, yes, it can be intense even in the summertime.
So you don't want to add ice and a fast moving?
Not for me personally.
It has some short stretches too.
Okay,
it's not all a full dip down Mount Washington. There are opportunities.
Mallory, what about you?
Yeah, well, you mentioned cross-country skiing in Ohiopyle, and that's going to be my recommendation, just cross-country skiing in general. You can travel to do that. A bunch of our state parks have really beautiful cross-country trails. So in addition to Ohiopyle, there's Raccoon Creek State Park, Moraine, Laurel Ridge. But you can also just hit up one of the parks in the city, Like I've gone in Frick Park before. There are some big open fields in Shenley Park that are great for it. Like I will say when I have tried cross-country skiing, I've gotten winded very fast. It is very hard work.
It's so much harder to me than downhill skiing. Like it's much more full body.
Right, because you don't have, the momentum pushing you downhill.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So it's a real workout. It makes me feel extremely out of shape, but it is just like a really beautiful way to experience the city or our state parks on a snowy day. And Three Rivers Outdoor Company actually rents out cross-country skiing equipment if you don't happen to have your own set. And it also rents out snowshoes if that's more of your thing. So I would recommend picking up some gear there and then hitting one of the trails.
Oh, that's really fun.
Yeah, I actually asked a friend if he had any recommendations because he's been a big cross-country skier out west and then moved to Pittsburgh. He actually recommended a Facebook group. So there's a Pittsburgh cross-country skiers group. That's what you type into the search bar because they'll post about like cool places to go. But he also double-tapped the Laurel Ridge Cross-Country Ski Center, which is part of that state park.
Yeah. And I mean, most of these places you can go for free, which is definitely an advantage over going to like a skiing resort. But Laurel Ridge, I guess, has kind of the most extensive, well-managed system of trails. So they do charge a small fee. It's $15 for adults, 10 for children. So, not too bad compared to like a lift ticket. But because it is just such a great spot and so well-maintained.
And then here in Pittsburgh, I also got a recommendation for the Bob O'Connor golf course over in Shenley Park. I don't know if the golf course management would appreciate that recommendation, but I thought it was fun. And then another from a friend, quote, the best is sliding down the street or sidewalk in your own neighborhood after a fresh snow before the plows get out. So that's one for our early risers.
That's actually so smart. I think it'd be so funny to just cross-country ski to someone's house and just show up in the middle of the morning. Like, hello, beat the snowplow.
1,000%.
You can check the snowplow map, make sure the snowplow isn't coming your way, and then get on your skis.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, LifeLock's restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
So I am going to recommend downhill skiing or snowboarding if that's your jam. So this is one that you do have to travel for at least a little bit, but there are a bunch of different options within driving distance to choose from. So first up, the closest, the cheapest, and probably the best place to go if you are a true beginner and just want like some easy stuff, that would be Boyce Park in Plum. That is where I learned how to ski in my mid-20s because I had never done it before. I grew up in the South.
I grew up in New Jersey, though, so I don't have an excuse.
You were a little closer to nice stuff. And I had family that traveled for skiing, but like nobody, I just never went. I never learned. The highest ticket price at Boyce Park is $25. And you can do equipment rentals and all that, also capped at $25. So it'd be like $50 max that you would spend to have a day on the slopes and maybe learn what you need to know. They also offer like trainings and like, instructors and stuff like that too.
Yeah, I saw they have beginner lessons there for $25. This is all, when you compare it to some of these other resorts, this is all a really good deal. And we already mentioned this in our Guide to January episode, but Venture Outdoors is actually offering women and genderqueer beginners snowboarding lessons at Boyce Park. So this is an even better deal because $40 gets you lessons, a lift ticket, and equipment rentals, and then you get to learn in community.
That's really fun. That maybe sounds like the place I would go if I decide this is the year that I want to snowboard. But what about for people who already know the basics? Where should they go instead?
Yeah, so a bunch of different options again. Seven Springs, Hidden Valley, Laurel Mountain. They're all popular options about an hour from Pittsburgh. A one-day lift ticket, like normal price, but in advance, is $122 at Seven Springs, $101 at Hidden Valley, and $86 at Laurel Mountain. Those get really pricey. However, I will recommend check Liftopia or consider doing like night skiing because usually that starts late afternoon and you can still get like a half a day of good skiing. They have of bright lights out there. And also just like the vibes are different when you're doing it at night. All the kids go away. It's really, really fun and much, much cheaper.
That's so funny that you say all the kids go away, because I remember doing night skiing as a high schooler and feeling really cool and sophisticated. But maybe you wouldn't have wanted to run into me on the slopes at that.
I mean, when I say
life.
the kids go away, I mean like the 4-year-olds that are moving faster and more efficiently than I am.
Fair. You don't need to worry about like either tumbling over a child or having a child moving with more grace and skill and making you feel bad about yourself.
Yeah, that's what it's. The high schoolers are fine. Like they're like me. They're trying not to like fall on their butt in public. Like it's the children that have zero shame and are actually excellent at it. They're the ones who freak me out.
I actually really love night skiing. I prefer that vibe. It feels like extra magical to be on the slopes in the dark.
So if you are planning a day at any of these places, there are additional fees for rentals in those areas. You can do it directly from any of the lodges, or most of them have like outposts that are just outside the properties that offer rentals at a little bit of a discount. So it's kind of like parking your car outside of an airport at one of the like parking places. You have to build in some time to do that because it's not all a one-stop shop, but it does save you a little bit of money if you're willing to like stop one place, get your rentals, then go to the lodge and start your ski day.
I also have another hack for saving on rental equipment. There's this ski and snowboard shop called Willie's. It's got locations in the South Hills and the North Hills. They do daily rentals, but you can also lease equipment for the full season. So if you know you're going to be skiing or snowboarding a bunch and you don't own the equipment yourself, this might be the best way to go to save yourself some money.
And a parent friend actually just told me that Willie's has a 100% buyback program too if you have a kid under 5. So if you're outfitting one of those little kids that, you know, is better than me on skis, you can buy them equipment at Willie's, and at the end of the season, they'll give you a 100% refund on it, which I think is like so smart on Willie's part to like encourage people to, because maybe stuff is so expensive, but it's in their best interest. Yeah, it's in their best interest to create new little skiers that are kind of going to come back year after year after year.
Right. And like by next season, they outgrow it. So it's not this multi-year investment that you can make.
Yeah. And Willie's has a location too at Seven Springs. So if you think it might benefit you to like actually be on a slope, see what the deal is, see if your kid is even willing to go down the slope first, then you can check out Seven Springs and then wander into Willie's and be like, all right, my kid's not panicking. Now what do I do?
Very smart of Willie's.
Yeah.
So what is next on my snow day agenda is snow tubing. I have no balance, so I want to sit and slide.
I will never do this if I have my own druthers. I guess
Why
I say
not?
that. If my kid wants to, I will do almost anything to make him happy. But I just feel like there's too much opportunity to go get launched off of it. And I did a lot of water tubing in my youth. And when I tell you the bruises, they lasted for months, Sophia.
Okay, I've also been water tubing and I've never gotten bruises. What are we doing differently?
I think maybe we had different people driving our boats, Sophia.
Fair enough.
But water moves, snow stays put. This is not an apples to apples comparison, I don't think.
Fair, but I'm still scared.
Yeah, well, if you have a safe driver, you know, snow tubing can be very fun. And Megan, a lot of those ski resorts you mentioned also offer snow tubing. So once again, Boyce Park is the most affordable option. The most expensive ticket is $21, and then a ticket at Seven Springs goes up to $46. They've also got a ton of rules at Seven Springs, like you can link your tubes, but only after testing is complete, and that's at the discretion of the tubing park leadership, and you can't do trains, snakes, or chains.
I like how they're throwing in all the synonyms just to make sure people understand what the rule is.
So I don't think you're going to get bruised up at Seven Springs as easily. They seem to have a lot of rules in place.
This isn't like a free-for-all situation, yeah.
Okay, fair. Maybe I will try it eventually.
Well, Megan, I do have a slower paced recommendation for you and for anyone else who thinks flying down a hill in a tube is not enticing. That is winter hiking.
I do a lot of winter hikes in Frick Park. 9 Mile Run is really nice. But I am looking to branch outside the city or even outside the East End this winter.
I also love a winter hike in Frick Park. But yeah, if you want to branch out, one of the best things I think to do is try to catch a frozen waterfall. So Fall Run Trail in Glenshaw has a 20-foot waterfall that you might be able to see frozen this time of year. There's a few different ones in Ohiopyle that freeze at different times of the year. Definitely check out our state parks. social media accounts because they should be posting photos. It's a good way to track what's frozen, where to catch it. We've mentioned that parts of Emerald View Park can be great for sledding, but it's also a great spot for winter hiking. Emerald View and Grand View Loop both have great views in the wintertime.
And groups like the Parks Conservancy and Venture Outdoors, they have guided tours if you don't want to do any of that by yourself. Like if you want someone to take you into the beautiful wilderness and bring you back out again.
Yeah, I saw that Venture Outdoors is actually doing a snowshoe hike at Laurel Summit on the 25th. Like I said, cross-country skiing left me extremely winded. I have no idea if I would have an easier time with snowshoeing, but I am intrigued, so I might check that out.
A neighbor gave me snowshoes years ago, and I have literally never put them on my feet. I don't even know how to. So actually, I would like to do this just to know how to use the piece of gear. I have now moved across 2 different houses.
And then if you are an ice skater, we did not leave you out. We promise. We actually talked all about this in our Guide to January episode. We mentioned a bunch of the ice rinks that you can find in Allegheny County. So if you're looking for a new place to skate, definitely check that out.
And then I also wanted to throw out, too, if you are looking for a bite to eat, for example, after your big day out, you can also check out a lot of our breweries here in town have like fire pits and stuff. OTB in North Park comes to mind. Stick City and Mars. Grist House has a great fire pit situation. Trace has one that's sort of indoor-outdoor, depending on whether like their little outbuilding is open. There's so many here in town. Even like Kingview Mead in Mount Lebanon, if you've never checked them out, they have a really fun like outdoor space, like right kind of off the main drag there. It's really, really fun and a good excuse to check out some of our breweries and the food trucks that are always parked outside.
Yes, go for the food trucks, even if you're not drinking. And a lot of these spots also have non-alcoholic options too.
Yes.
So reminder, a bunch of our recommendations and tips for dealing with the snow, they're going to be in our show notes and on our website. That's pittsburgh.citycast.fm. We hope you all stay safe and warm out there and get to take advantage of the snowfall.
That's all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. You can stay in the know on everything we do here on the podcast, plus what we're doing on the website with our newsletter, the Hey Pittsburgh newsletter. It's fresh every day at 6 a.m. You can sign up at pittsburgh.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Talk to you then.
Wait, I'm trying to think of one a fun name real fast.
The one in Michigan that's really Snowy McPlowface or whatever.
I was literally going to say Snowy McPlowface because of Bodie McBoatface or whatever.